In the podcast, Ben Shapiro discusses the illegal immigration crisis at the U.S. southern border under the Biden administration. He presents data from the New York Times website, which shows a significant increase in attempted border crossings in 2023, with 3.1 million people attempting to cross the border. Of those, 600,000 entered undetected, and an estimated 400,000 more entered undetected, bringing the total to 1 million people who entered the U.S. undetected. Additionally, 565,000 people were expelled under Title 42, and 365,000 people were actually removed or departed voluntarily. The remaining 2.4 million people who had encounters with U.S. Customs and Border Protection entered the United States, the majority of whom are here illegally. The impact of this influx of illegal immigrants is evident in various areas. For example, in Brooklyn, a school was shut down and students were told to learn from home because the school facilities were being used to house illegal immigrants. The situation has also led to overcrowding and strain on resources, as evidenced by the use of school buildings to house immigrants and the need to move them during bad weather. Shapiro highlights the role of the Biden administration in exacerbating the crisis, particularly by reversing policies such as the Remain in Mexico policy, which required asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their cases were processed. He argues that the administration's open border policies have contributed to the surge in illegal immigration, as evidenced by the significant increase in border encounters compared to the Trump administration. Shapiro also criticizes the handling of the situation by Border Patrol, noting that agents are being tasked with administrative duties and acting as a ferry service for illegal immigrants. He points out the absurdity of illegal immigrants complaining about having to wait in the cold for Border Patrol, highlighting the lack of enforcement and the exploitation of the system by migrants. The podcast also delves into the economic impact of the crisis, with Shapiro citing a report from the World Bank that predicts a bleak global economy in the 2020s. He attributes this to sluggish economic activity, less trade growth, and high borrowing costs, which he links to the lack of American involvement in foreign policy. In addition, Shapiro discusses the handling of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's prostate cancer diagnosis, criticizing the lack of transparency and communication within the administration. He questions why the president was not informed about Austin's diagnosis until weeks after the surgery, highlighting the credibility issues and lack of consequences for the mishandling of the situation. Shapiro continues by critiquing the Biden administration's handling of the Middle East, highlighting the mixed signals being sent to Israel and the lack of a coherent approach to addressing the ongoing conflicts in the region. He argues that the perception of weakness in the Middle East is leading to increased tensions and potential escalation of violence. He also questions the effectiveness of the administration's policies and the impact on regional stability. Shapiro then shifts his focus to the rise of right-wing movements in Europe, citing examples from Germany, Poland, and France. He discusses the growing discontent among farmers in Germany over proposed tax reforms and the resulting protests. In Poland, a constitutional crisis has emerged, pitting the president against the prime minister and leading to a breakdown in governance. Additionally, Shapiro highlights the declining popularity of French President Emmanuel Macron and the surge of right-wing parties in European Parliament, leading to concerns about an ungovernable Europe. The podcast also delves into the legal challenges faced by former President Donald Trump, particularly regarding his claim of presidential immunity for actions taken during his presidency. Shapiro discusses the implications of Trump's legal battles and the potential impact on his political future. He critiques the arguments put forth by Trump's lawyers and highlights the broader implications for the rule of law and governance in the United States.